Are you ready to reverse type 2 diabetes without any medication or insulin? You can in just 9 easy steps. Stay tuned to find out. Hi, and welcome to Nature's Path to Wellness. My name is Wendy, and today we're going to be talking about the 9 easy steps that you can take to reverse type 2 diabetes. Perhaps you've been told that type 2 diabetes is chronic and progressive, and that the only way that you will be able to manage it is by taking medication and maybe even insulin. If you suspect being insulin resistant, I encourage you to watch my video on the 25 symptoms of insulin resistance. And you should also consider getting a fasting glucose test as well as a hemoglobin A1C test, which shows the last 90 days on average of your blood glucose levels. And your fasting insulin levels is another test that you should probably take to be sure where you stand in terms of type 2 diabetes. Because remember that if you listen to my other videos, you will know that type 2 diabetes is not just about blood glucose levels, but it is also about high insulin levels or hyperinsulinemia. Something else that I would strongly encourage you to do if you don't already have a blood glucose monitoring kit, I would suggest picking one up and some test strips. And this is the best way for you to be able to determine how your blood glucose levels are measuring up. And when you follow the 9 following steps, you can monitor your progress while you are lowering your blood glucose levels. And that is the best way to see how you are making out while working on reversing type 2 diabetes without medication. The key to reversing type 2 diabetes is by nutrition. And it should be known that you can reverse type 2 diabetes by nutrition and nutrition alone. So, the first thing that you're going to want to do is to cut out all sugar, excess sugars, processed sugars, all types of sugars from your diet. And you may also want to watch the video that I did recently called The 15 Things That Happen When You Cut Out Sugar from Your Diet. The other thing you'll want to make sure to do, number 2, is to stop snacking in between meals. One of the things that I was told when I was first diagnosed with type 2 diabetes is that I should be having lots of small meals and snacks in between. But if we just take a moment and think about that and why that is probably not a good plan, you think that every time that you're having meals, your blood glucose levels go up and your insulin levels go up. And you can imagine if you're doing that all day long with meals and snacks, what is happening with your blood glucose levels and your insulin levels. So I would cut out all snacking. And number 3, I would definitely be cutting out any excess carbs. So any excess carbs, especially white rice, pasta, bread, crackers, all of those kind of things would need to go. And number 4, I would cut out all processed foods. So the thing with processed foods is that not only are they highly processed, and so they're, I call them frankenfoods, basically. They are just a small shell. They barely resemble what the original food was supposed to look like. They often contain tons of hidden sugars. They have high fructose corn syrup in them. And what this does, these processed foods produce inflammation throughout your entire body and especially in your liver, which is then causing your liver to produce more fat. So, any processed foods should be cut out, including processed meats. And you'll be surprised to know that they also contain a lot of hidden sugars. You'll want to cut out any pasta sauces that have hidden sugars. So, unless it's something that you're making at home yourself, you'll want to watch out for processed foods such as ketchup and all of those kind of things. Again, lots of hidden sugars in those foods. Number 5, you will want to cut out all highly processed oils, such as canola oil, which is known as rapeseed oil, corn oil, and soybean oil. And number 6, you will want to cut out all pops, including sugary pops, sugary drinks, and fruit juices. And honestly, if you are juicing fruits and you feel like this is a good plan and you are trying to reverse type 2 diabetes, I would strongly suggest that you stop juicing. Juicing, a lot of People are into the whole juicing thing and they think it's great, but the thing is, if you think about juicing, you are removing all the pulp and the fiber from a fruit, and all that you're consuming is the fructose and whatnot in the juice that is produced. The fiber is what actually helps us to stave off the absorbed sugar from the fruit to begin with. So when you remove that, juicing is not something I would suggest, especially if you have insulin resistance or type 2 diabetes. And number seven, what you're going to want to do after you've removed those items from your diet, you're going to want to replace them with the following. You want to look for pasture raised eggs. Eggs contain a good amount of healthy amino acids, which are the building blocks in your body. They contain very few carbs, not even one carb per egg. They have lots of vitamins and they're loaded with minerals as well as choline and lecithin, which actually help to break down fats in your liver, helping you to lose weight. You'll want to start adding lots of leafy greens to your diet, especially kale. Now, some people don't like kale, but you can do all kinds of things with kale to make it taste good. And kale contains no starch, it has no sugar in it. It actually has 2 times the amount of vitamin C of an orange. It has more potassium than bananas, and it has more calcium than milk. You'll also want to look at adding avocados as they are an excellent source of healthy fats. They are extremely nutrient dense. They contain monounsaturated fats, which are excellent fats for energy. And they also have a molecule called avocatin B, which helps to improve insulin resistance. You'll want to be adding lots of cruciferous vegetables to your diet, such as cauliflower and broccoli, Brussels sprouts, arugula, bok choy, and these are absolutely loaded with phytochemicals, which are excellent to help reduce the inflammation in your body, and they're just excellent nutrients to have. You want to add sauerkraut to your diet, and you can have this just a couple times a week. Sauerkraut is actually an excellent source of vitamin C and probiotics, and it helps with healthy gut bacteria. As well, you'll want to consider adding some nuts to your diet, such as pecans and almonds. Those are amazing for you. And if you're going to be having any sort of oils in your diet, especially if you want to make homemade salad dressing, which is always what I do, and I would encourage you to do because you know exactly what's going into it, you can stick with a cold pressed extra virgin olive oil for salad dressings and for cooking, and you can also use an organic coconut oil. These are anti inflammatory. They have chemicals in them that actually help to reduce joint pain and swelling, and they are excellent for liver health. And one thing that's important to note is that I have mentioned having a lot of different vegetables added to your diet, and you'll want to do the absolute best that you can to consider getting organic vegetables. And the reason is that you want to avoid having any pesticides in the vegetables that you're consuming, which will just cause further damage to your liver. People will ask me about whether it's safe to consume frozen vegetables, and I definitely encourage you that frozen vegetables are absolutely fine to add to your diet, and especially if you can get organic frozen. They are often brought in off the fields and cleaned and washed and frozen very quickly. And so there's very little time for any degradation of the vegetables. And so they are a healthy alternative instead of going without, especially if it's something that you enjoy and it's not readily available in the grocery store because of the season. So, other things that you can consider adding to your diet are grass fed red meats. Definitely do away with any margarine if that's something that you're currently using. It's a highly processed and hydrogenated oils and all kinds of things, which I'm not going to get into the details on that today. But you definitely want to be not consuming margarine. Do look at adding grass fed organic butter to your diet. It actually contains the bioavailable form of vitamin A known as retinol, and the butter can actually help your gallbladder to release bile, which actually helps you to break down fats in your body. And if you'd like to add a little bit of cheese to your diet, you certainly can do so. I would again stick with a grass fed cheese, something organic, nothing highly processed. So don't go out and buy those highly processed cheese slices. You want to be particularly aware that if you are consuming any meats, I mentioned the grass fed, and the reason is grass fed and finished if at all possible, because if it's not grass fed and finished meat, it will contain a lot of hormones, antibiotics, and definitely GMOs will be in the meat because there's a lot of GMO in the feeds that they feed to the animals. If you'd like to add some wild caught fish to your diet, such as salmon, it's especially loaded with omega-3 fatty acids, which help reduce the overall inflammation and oxidative damage that has been caused by the diet that you've probably been consuming for a while. And you'll want to definitely stay away from any farmed fish because they do contain toxic antibiotics. And you're welcome to add some herbs and spices to your diet. Cinnamon is excellent if you've got type 2 diabetes or insulin resistance, as well as turmeric, coriander, black pepper, ginger. And just a word of caution, if you're going to be adding something new to your diet and perhaps you are on certain medications, you just may want to look into the contraindications of those spices and herbs and the medication that you're taking. These spices and herbs can definitely help to repair the liver, the pancreas, and the digestive organs. I will be doing a video coming up soon on different herbs and spices and the health benefits that they have for you. And number 8, you will definitely want to consider doing intermittent fasting, which can actually rid the body of any excess sugars. It makes your cells much more sensitive to insulin, and it actually helps your body turn to fat as a source for energy. And in another video, I mentioned to you that there's basically two currencies when it comes to your body in terms of producing energy. There's either your glucose or your fat. And so by doing intermittent fasting, you can have your body go on to be burning fat for energy. And number 9, adding some light activity and exercise. If you've been somebody who's been sort of, a couch potato for the last few years, and maybe perhaps that's what's also helped lead to the situation of snacking lots and having lots of processed foods and whatnot, that has led to the insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. Adding just a little bit of walking per day can really help. So, if you live in an area where you can go for a walk for a block or two, maybe twice a day, you would be amazed at the results that you would get just from adding that little bit of exercise. You don't need to go to the gym 5 times a week and be lifting weights, although maybe you'll get to that point at some time, but just a little bit of walking every day can definitely help when you're trying to reverse insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. And so, for some of you, you may be thinking, well, these 9 things might seem difficult. Maybe you think, wow, that's a lot of stuff to try and do. But, I guess when you look at the overall situation, we can either do a little bit of hard work now, or we're going to have a lot of hard work later once type 2 diabetes progresses and if we're not doing anything to help reverse it. So you'll end up with having more difficulties later in life. Most people who have had type 2 diabetes can effectively reverse or cure type 2 diabetes in a period of just a couple of months. Imagine being able to be medication free and to be taking control over your life and having reversed type 2 diabetes. Rewind if you need to hear me say that again. You can reverse type 2 diabetes naturally with nutrition and without medication, and sometimes in just as little as 2 months. If you've had type 2 diabetes for several years, or if you have difficulty with cheating, so the sugars and the processed foods and carbs are something that take you a little bit more effort to give up, it may take you up to 6 months. But it's really up to you. Our goal is to get you with an A1C of below 5.6. And if you promise to partner with me in doing those 9 steps that it takes to get your A1C to that level, I promise that I will partner with you and I will keep you encouraged along the way. If this video has been helpful for you, I ask you that you give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more health and nutrition information. And if you know somebody else who's struggling with type 2 diabetes and insulin resistance, be sure to share this channel with them and any of the videos that I've done on type 2 diabetes and insulin resistance. And I do look forward to seeing you again next time. Until then, stay healthy.